the whole problem with the market at this point, or what we've seen in the past week, is that we don't know what that next watermark is, because that growth story may be in jeopardy. If you don't believe it's in jeopardy, then that's one thing. But there are plenty of people who are worried about that.
Well, they're worried about it in the short term. Again, I think it's very hard. I mean, again, the only name that I can really point to with concrete numbers in terms of how they are actually monetizing AI is NVIDIA. What you have seen is them raise up to some $24–25 billion and continue to raise those guidance. And what I'm saying is I am a believer that over the long term, that tends to translate into these other names. In the short term, to say that you're expecting some immediate ROI on however many $billion of spend that we've had over the past 2 years in CapEx seems to be, just a little bit myopic in view.
Right. Welcome back to Fast Money. Semi stocks seem to struggle on the heels of the first big tech earnings reports this week. The SMH ETF hitting its lowest level in more than 2 months yesterday, but with more mega caps set to detail their AI plans and CapEx spending next week, what should chip investors be watching in those reports? Let's bring in Bernstein's Stacey Raskin. Stacey, great to see you.
Good to be here. Thanks.
What was it specifically, in your view, out of Alphabet's report that got NVIDIA and other chip investors nervous?
Yeah, it was the CapEx. And don't get me wrong, the CapEx guide was good, but they didn't raise it. Like the quarter actually came in, I think, a little higher than what they'd suggested. And they said it would sort of sustain at some very high levels through the year, but they didn't raise it. And so that hit some of the AI stocks. And then the broader space was getting hit. We've had some reports. Most of the reports haven't been very good. So that's kind of, it has consequences.
So in terms of Microsoft and Amazon next week, is it key that they actually raise CapEx at this point, or has that sort of concern been erased with the sellout that we saw this week?
I don't know. I mean, it certainly would be nice if they did, but we're still kind of early in the year. Like they just raised really big, like recently. So we probably got some time as we go through the year, but obviously it would be helpful. I don't know if we're going to get it yet. That's all.
Stacey, thanks so much for being here. As you look forward to next week, what do you think is the larger story? More economic data overhang, or tech stocks delivering on what have been high expectations?
I don't know. I focus on the stocks themselves, the semiconductor stocks, and the expectations, and that's clearly what I'll be looking at. Like the macro data points and everything are what they are. I mean, broadly for the space, though, kind of what we've been seeing in general. I mean, we've had a number of the analog stocks and some of the equipment stocks go this week. Most of the analogs, they're exposed to industrial and auto, and those people are hoping for like recovery in the back half, and most of those markets still don't look super. Semicap's been a little mixed. We had some of the U.S. guys went; they actually looked okay. We've got it. I think Lam Research goes next week. And then in my coverage, clearly, I've got Intel and AMD. Those are probably like the two that people are paying the most attention to as we go there, and they've got different things I think that people will be looking at for each of them. AMD, it'll be all around the AI guide. Intel's got all kinds of stuff that's going on there, PCs and servers, and the little bit of AI that they have, and margins, and just the broader foundry strategy, and the process roadmap. Intel's juggling a lot of balls right now.
Tim,
Stacey, it's Tim. So I'd like to maybe drill a little deeper there, though, because we really are seeing within those three names, significant divergence. I get why Intel is down 40% this year, and I get why NVIDIA is up 140. But AMD's down 5% on the year. Yeah. And again, from an analyst perspective, explain this to me, because they are supposed to be a clear number two. They have lagged significantly at a time when the markets even were more ebullient, I would say, on semis. Break that down real quick.
Yeah, you bet. So I think in general, all of the AI stocks recently have had a little bit of pressure just because expectations have been very high and the numbers have gotten very large, and people are starting to think through what is all this money actually going to get spent on, right? And what's the return? And so all of the stocks recently, I think, have sold off. AMD has been a little bit interesting, though. They have, they are the number two, to some of the to NVIDIA and some of the other players in the space in data center GPUs. Expectations have gone up a lot. The company's been sort of raising their AI guidance through the year, but I mean, consensus expectations are already quite a bit above that. And so I think there's a concern that while we probably will get a raise to that outlook, it likely will not be enough to be high to cause expectations to go up. Also, in the near term with AMD, there's been some worries about potential issues with their products. There's been concerns around their high bandwidth memory that they use they buy from Samsung mostly. concerns about like, is that having issue and is it causing order pushouts or cancellations? And so we'll find out, I guess, better next week when they report. But those have been some concerns in recent weeks that have been weighing on the stock and taking it down probably a little worse than maybe even some of the other AI stocks that are there.
Karen?
Yeah. Hi, Stacey. Thanks for being on. So turning to NVIDIA for a minute. So in their last quarter, talking about Blackwell being here sooner than people thought, that seemed to be part of the big upside surprise. Do you think they need to just continue to deliver catalysts like that? Or what are you expecting sort of big picture from them?
Yeah, no. So the worry going into last quarter was, a transition air pocket. They're on an architecture right now that's known as Hopper. They're moving to Blackwell, and people were worried about like an air pocket and demand in between. And they last quarter, at least, they kind of took that off the table. They suggested that Hopper demand was still strong and that we would have material amounts of Blackwell as we got into the end of the year. And I don't know that I'm expecting to hear anything different than that. Clearly, again, expectations are high and the numbers need to go up. And I actually think the numbers will be fine, although I always joke, like, I think you could hand me the earnings report right now. I'm not exactly sure I could tell you what the stock would do the next day. But yeah, I think in general, the overall environment for AI spending, it's the one area actually that still looks very, very robust. I know everybody's worried about sustainability. I understand those worries broadly. I don't think the time to worry, though, is just yet.
All right. Stacey, always great to speak with you. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Stacey Raskin of Bernstein. I was going to ask that question of you, Julie Beal. I mean, can NVIDIA actually, it didn't sound like there are many catalysts to the upside. They've already raised the bar, so to speak, in terms of what to look for. They said, we're going to make a lot of Blackwell revenue this year. What else do you want them to say at this point?
Well, that's the thing, is they have to say a lot of great things in order to justify that valuation. And I think the concern that I have with NVIDIA is the concern I always have with semiconductors, and that's customer concentration. If 22% of your revenue is coming from a single client, Microsoft, and 5 people on their board of directors say, can we just cut back on our CapEx a little bit? And suddenly the arms race isn't as robust as we are expecting across these 5 or 6 hyperscalers, that changes the business model really dramatically. So that's the one kind of concern that I have. And, every quarter they prove me wrong. And, I think there's a lot of growth left in front of them. But that is kind of, for me, an ongoing concern.
All right, this coming week is very important for NVIDIA and for the entire market, so let's dive right in. This week, we have Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Apple, AMD, Lam Research, and many other companies all reporting earnings. We also have FOMC this week, and there is also a keynote presentation featuring NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang and Meta's Mark Zuckerberg scheduled for this Monday. You can view that presentation live on NVIDIA's YouTube channel this coming Monday. There is so much happening this week, so buckle up and get ready. I'm expecting a lot of volatility throughout this week with everything that is happening. The market could change rapidly this week. So what happened this past week? Tesla and Alphabet both reported earnings. Tesla missed expectations, and Alphabet had a decent quarter with a miss on ad revenue. What really caused concern in the market, though, is CapEx, specifically how much money these companies are spending on building out AI infrastructure. The Mag 7 are spending billions upon billions of dollars on building AI infrastructure, and many market participants are questioning when these companies will see a return on that investment. Personally, I think these companies will see a substantial return on their investments into AI. I just don't know what the time frame is between now and when they eventually do see a return on those investments. So for now, CapEx is concerning many market participants in the short term. That being said, both Tesla and Alphabet reiterated the incredible demand for NVIDIA chips right now. Elon Musk said Tesla simply cannot get enough NVIDIA chips right now because demand is so great, and Alphabet said that at this juncture, it is riskier not to spend money on AI than it is to spend money on AI. So this is all very good news for the long-term future of NVIDIA. In the short term, though, many market participants are concerned about these companies' CapEx spending to build AI infrastructure. This week, I am most interested to see Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon's earnings reports because they will be very important for NVIDIA. If these companies' stocks trade lower after they report earnings, then they will likely pull down NVIDIA with them in the short term, or at least weigh down on NVIDIA. Long term, though, if these companies are still spending massive amounts on AI infrastructure, or if they are even taking it a step further and increasing CapEx spending, then that is very good news for NVIDIA in the long term, even if it causes megacap tech to pull back some in the short term. If you look at the chart, you can see that we are still respecting this trend line on the 4-hour time frame. We broke below the trend line back on Thursday very suddenly, and that rapid pullback was bought up very quickly, wicking out that candle on the 4-hour time frame and bringing price back above the trend line. On the daily time frame, we are still below the 50-day moving average, which has me cautious about buying in yet. As I mentioned in a recent video, I did add exposure to NVIDIA back on Thursday, very close to the lows when we had that rapid pullback shortly after market open on Thursday. But it's important to note that I did not take on a large position. I just nibbled a little bit. Right now, I'm hesitant to go full bull mode because I'm not sure what to expect from the market this coming week. There are so many things happening and so many unknowns when it comes to the rest of the market right now. I think many market participants have been de-risking the past few trading days and taking some money off of the table. Right now, many market participants are holding their breath and waiting for this week's mega-cap tech earnings as well as FOMC before moving forward. With all of that being said, I hope you're all having a great weekend, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on NVIDIA in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.